Hi. So today I'm filming in a weird spot, but I'm here. Today I wanted to talk about Marcus Aurelius. More specifically, I wanted to talk about Meditations, which is probably arguably the most popular works by Marcus Aurelius. And Meditations in of itself is like the craziest book you'll ever read. Not because it's absurd, but because it's so strange to see someone talk about the past almost as if it was the present. And I mean, like, what else is there going to be? I mean, obviously he was writing it down in the present, but I can't tell a distinction from like someone who can write well in 2026 versus someone who wrote back then, because like just the way that he expresses himself feels human. It's strange. That's why so many translations have been done on it and so many people talk about it. Everyone has always, good words to say about him. He was an emperor for quite a long time. It's roughly, I think it was maybe 30 odd years he ruled. The reign was 120 AD to like 157 something AD. Marcus Aurelius himself died actually still in command, actually at a battlefront in I think it was I can't remember the country in Europe, but he spent most of his reign actually not at the capital, but over on the war front, just writing, meditating, meditations, but observing life for what it is, even amidst the chaos of what he was really, admits. I had like a whole notebook, and I've written like some entries about Marcus and like the book and quotations and like really just like thought about, like the intricacies of everything. And I wanted to do it for this video, but it didn't feel right. What felt right was, I don't know, a proper view, which I have right now, and choice words, because choice words arguably are better than just thrown out words. There's a quote in Meditations. As I was speaking, I was thinking of the quote, but it goes something along the lines of, choose your words carefully because you only get to speak a certain amount. And I think he said also coupled in actions as well to that. And I mean, there's nothing truer than that, right? Like, we only live so long. We only get so many words. We only get so many actions where we can truly try to pull, the core of who we are out. It's not often that we realize that we should be actually careful of what we say. I know for me, so I'll nitpick on me, because I'm not going to nitpick on y'all, but I know with me, like, I do love just venting and ranting and just like saying the most strange and most profoundly odd things about what's going on in my life. Though if I were to guard my words more carefully and speak with the truth, with the core of, what I actually feel about what's going on, I'd probably say less words and more meaningful words at that. I don't know if that has to do with, like, just taking a deep breath and just slowing down, or if it's like where I'm at now, looking at, outside, looking at the horizon, trees, snow, and such. Like, there's no, I'm going to say, certain method that can make you slow down and realize the worth of your words. But I know from experience, from dealing with people, and even at work, like work sectors, whether health, you're in the trades, your customer service, like everything requires, your conversations, your even self inner talk requires like a certain amount of like conciseness. You gotta be on the bullseye with what you say. And then, like, when you go home, you usually just kind of forget to keep a, I don't know if I want to say professional, but a demeanor that really tries to encompass everything, in a whole, like the whole thing. And the whole thing, what I really mean is trying to extrapolate the truth of the situation in the most clear, the most almost like you manner that you can give. That's like the pursuit of speaking from, your most proper self. And that's difficult. It requires you to slow down. It almost requires you to think. Though, if you get too attracted to your thoughts, then you kind of just forget about talking, and then you don't really pull from your vocabulary sphere, and you're just going off of the whims of whatever neuron is connecting each thought together, or each phrase, sentence together. It's like, it's so much better to try to speak from your core and as deep and as most profound as you can get than ever. And I think we see that less and less in our society today, which actually does do tremendous devastation towards your own self and also towards others, because evil things can be done to others just by mere words. Like, words are not silly things. Words are the foundation of existence almost. Words are forming what we see and how things are ordered. Like, stop signs says stop. They don't say stop for no reason. Words have power, and if we choose to whimsically throw away our power, then we don't allow ourselves to be the most best self that we can be. There's nothing more powerful than that. I'm going to speak from my POV just for a second, but I feel often when engaged in conversations with other people, I tend to just want to keep the pace of the conversation. We always want to keep flows with conversation because that is what makes good conversation. Yet, I often find myself, just using basic filler words and not really contributing in any, let's say, profound manner other than just keeping the flow going. And yet, if I slow down, and I do actually sometimes slow down and just like really try to analytically think about what everyone's saying, I can pull, new thoughts, new ideas, and more deeper connections to a conversation in order to actually make a better talk for everyone. And it's almost like disrupting the flow. It almost feels like going against what seems natural, which is just keeping everything up, whether it's with, small talk or maybe about a certain, event that happened, or just gossip, There's always a way to find more depth, which for me and my personality, my POV, I think that brings me more clarity, because we live in a world that's so surface level orientated because everyone's attention is so valuable, really. I'm not going to say that attention and like someone's time is not valuable. Time is valuable. Yet our time is only valued with what we do with our time. And if our time is spent only on the surface, then we don't really get to see what's underneath. If you look at the ocean only at 5 feet deep, you don't get to see what's 100 feet deep. Hell, you won't even get to see the trench. Marianas Trench. There we go. That sounds right. Yet, there's so much. Words are just powerful. Words are direction. And to bring this back to meditations, it's Marcus Aurelius' words seem to be like so like meditated upon. It's like he meditated on every word before he wrote it down. Probably every letter, because everything fits so perfectly. There's logic, the ethos, like everything is woven perfectly into what he says. That just, not everything's gonna, not everything that he journals about is gonna make sense to, Carbon Wilson, in 2026. Though, what will make sense is the meaning behind it in the place that he was speaking from. Let me reiterate, the place he was speaking from. And that was his depth. His depth of his presence in the present moment of when he was speaking. Even his curiosity was deep. Like, it was deep-seated curiosity about the natures of the world. And I like reading that because it creates, like, depth within myself. And I value that because it brings me more clarity. It allows me to be in rooms more, not just presently and not just powerfully, but almost naturally in a way, where I don't feel obligated to, like, feel wrong, for lack of better words. Everything feels more right, which is a strange thing for me to say, but I am saying it. I don't think there's anything I can say, anything else. I don't want to say too many words because I do not want to distill even what I've already said. Though I feel the urge to speak more. And yet, I will meditate and I will recollect my thoughts to speak on something more. Try to find a deeper question to ask myself, perhaps, and come up with a deeper answer to present to everyone, Just talking now, I see how many times I'm just keeping a mental clock in my head of counter, let's say, of how many times I say like and it's like even I, who have read, and write so much, still use filler words and, my self-conscious, neurotic sphere in my brain's probably overwhelmed right now, and yet these are just the trials of you building a deeper origination of your voice, a deeper place where you speak from. And I think it's an ever-long journey because time continues to evolve and you continue to speak and usher words, and we all just need to I hope that we all can just recognize that we all need that. I can't put my tongue on it. It's escaping me as I try to speak it. But we all need that meditation's essence in our words, I guess. Need to think like Marcus Aurelius, just a little bit more. And the quote, which is just searing into my mind, which is, you only got so many words in your life, and you only have so many actions in your life. Choose them wisely. It's like, do what you do wisely, say what you say wisely. I feel like a repeating record, but I can't put enough emphasis on those words. I recommend reading Marcus because you'll be able to extract most deep-seated, you'll be able to read it and you'll be able to maybe touch on the feeling I'm trying to explain with my words. But his words were just, he must have thought about them long because they hit with so much power and they hit deep within my soul. Perhaps in my past life I was a Roman, so it just hits my Roman genes. But regardless, so thank you for listening to me. If you stuck around this long, I'm gonna be posting more videos. I have a lot of ideas, but they never really translate to the camera or the microphone. So if you bear with me, I promise to talk more. And if you have open ears, you are a guest at my channel. Until next time, thank you. Have a good day. Actually, have a good day.